everyone. Happy Freya. Welcome to episode 18. And it's an honor, privilege, and pleasure to introduce to you today, Wrendi Starks. Wrendi, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So we were just getting all our tech and stuff in order, and now everything's good to go. And so I was trying to think of like an intro on how to introduce Wrendi because she's like a best kept secret. So a lot of people see her through invitations and referrals only, and by her work, her referrals grow. And she's much too modest to say some things around here, so I'm gonna do my best to kind of encapsulate this human being on the podcast, because it's this woman's totally insane, crazy good. She's an oracle, starseed, and so much more. And I thought the best way to introduce her would be through client testimonials that I actually collected. And she doesn't know this. I kind of sprung it on her last minute to embarrass her. So so stay with me here, because what better way to talk about somebody than people who know her, right? So these are very heartfelt connections I just wanted to share here today so that people could get to know you through people who know you. So people who do come in contact with you, I've heard here in Vancouver, they call it the Wrendi High. And right after the session, it's a Wrendi High. You literally get a Wrendi High, and I call it the Wrendi experience. This woman is an experience in and of herself. So here's just some quick testimonials here. Somebody said after their session with you, their first session, they said, I experience God in everyday life now. Someone else said their light is getting brighter and brighter, and they want to be more in communion with that which they call God and source energy now. Another client said, I was transformed. I can't describe it. And then there's myself. I literally felt like I could fly after our session together. My word was ineffable because it's the same as everybody else. And we don't talk to each other about like, well, what, it was just people were saying the same thing about being transformed, and we can't put it into words. This woman picked up things I haven't even shared with people. So I know she is the real deal. It's like, there's no way she could have known. And I was going through a hard time with my mom passing last year, and really heavy with grief. And we had our interaction, and I can step forward and start looking forward to new things. So thank you, Wrendi, again, for allowing me to do that. And I hope people can kind of encapsulate and give this woman the respect she deserves, because I'm very happy that she's here on this planet to help us assist through this great transformation. So with the first question, so people can get to know you, can you describe to us basically what happened with your awakening moment, and is it related to your near-death experience? Just people can get a background of who you are and what happened.
So it's interesting. I didn't know this was going to be episode number 18, but yep. I'm going to say that because my near-death experience was on the 18th of June. So that's interesting. I'm always seeing numbers. So yeah, my near-death experience on June 18th of 2010. Do you want to know like a little bit about it? It's not that long of a story.
No. Let's talk about it, because I want to know if that relates to you getting your super magical powers.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like I had some intuition, and I'd seen maybe a couple spirits, but like in the past, but not anything, not like this, like maybe just regular experiences that normal everyday people have. So my near-death experience on that day, I just flatlined. And then I was on life support for like maybe 12 hours, 12 to 24 hours. It wasn't a real long time. They did have to revive me. So there was no explanation for it. Absolutely no explanation whatsoever. They couldn't find any medical reason why I died. But I know that when I did, I remember going into, it was like I just was floating with no gravity. And immediately I knew what was happening immediately. And I'm like waving my arms, like somehow I'm going to be able to swim back down, right? Like, but there's nothing to grab onto. So I just, because it's like, it was just like I was just floating, and I was like, no. I know what's happening, and I'm not ready for this. So I was like kind of panicking, trying to get back down to my body, and then as I kept floating and floating, it got like lighter and lighter, like visually lighter. And I felt lighter the further I floated, but there wasn't anything. There wasn't like any tunnels or anything like that. It was just me. That's all there was. And nothing else but just this floating and this feeling and this realization of, I know what this is. I know what's happening right now. And then I got to a place where I was in like, it's really hard to describe because it's not a white light like we can describe here on Earth. But I would say it looks white if I can describe it that way, but it was very soft. It was very, very soft, like, and warm. And once I got there, I started to calm down and I felt a little better. And then I remember exactly, I will never ever forget, of course, exactly the moment that when I looked up and where all of it changed, like this want to go back into my body, was when I saw my sister, and she was on the left. Mm-hmm. And then I saw.
Sorry, and this is your sister passed away by then?
Oh, yes. Sorry. So my sister, yeah, she'd been dead for at least 10 years at that time. Earlier that year, I had lost my fiance. He passed away, and he was standing right next to my sister. And 2 years prior to that, my fiance and I had lost a baby boy. He was probably about 8 years old, standing next to his dad. So now I have three people that was my greatest grief of losing them in this physical human, on Earth. The three people I missed and grieved the most were standing there. This is gonna seem. I remember seeing my sister, and my heart just exploded with love. I just wanted to go straight to her and just jump into her arms. Of course, It doesn't work like that. I'm still floating. Now I'm floating very slowly. So as I'm processing this emotion of there's my sister, oh my gosh, I want to hug her. And then I saw my fiance, and I was confused. Why are the two of them together? They didn't know each other. And then I saw my son, and then I had these feelings of, oh, that's not fair. My son gets to be with him. Like, that's so humanly selfish, right? But I was like, but then there was a part of me that was like, oh, well, at least they're together. I'm happy they're together. But there was that humanness that was like, my son and my fiance get to be with my sister. Then I really felt left out. And I was kind of angry. And I wanted to be with them. So my son puts his hand out and extends his arm. And as I'm floating closer, I reach my hand out, and our fingers come just about like that.
Okay.
And then I felt this electric current go through me, and it was excruciating, and it was just zip that quick. In the speed of thought, I was back. I was gone. Body. I got ripped away from him.
You're back in your body.
Yes.
Okay.
And So yeah. So I'll just skip the part of being like, it's kind of funny. I don't know. I guess I woke up, maybe I'll just tell it. I woke up restrained in the hospital. And I felt like I was gagging, like I couldn't breathe. And I opened my eyes, but I couldn't see yet. My eyes had to adjust. And there was a nurse in there and she said, calm down, calm down. You have a tube in your throat and you're restrained. So you just need to calm down. And I was like, so then, I can comprehend what she's saying. I'm restrained. What are you talking about? Why am I restrained? Why is there a tube in my throat? I'm so confused. And I don't know. I kind of feel like I kind of nodded out again. And then when I came back to, they had removed the tube. I felt him pulling it out, but I was pretty groggy. And it took a minute for my focus to come back. And then they took the restraints off. But they explained to me that I had ripped the tube out
before.
Yeah, and that's why for my safety, I had to be restrained, which of course I don't remember that. So again, there was no diagnosis as to what caused this. It was just some freak thing that happened. I got home. I was staying with my mom at the time because I found my fiance. So the trauma from that it was just good to be around family at the time. So I was staying with my mom in my mom's house at the time. And it literally only took 2 or 3 days. And I was with my best friend, who's now passed at the time. And we're hanging out at my mom's. And I see this little girl playing in my mom's foyer. And I'm like looking at her. And my friend goes, what are you looking at? Nothing. Nothing. And she says, Wrendi, I saw you looking at something you're looking at. And I said, nothing, because I felt crazy. She says, I see her too. And I went, huh? So I'm not crazy? So that was my first inkling that something had changed.
Okay.
And then I actually rolled a ball to this little girl because she went and hid under the table. I rolled a ball like past the table, but outside of the table. And she came out to play with the ball. And I got her name. I knew what she looked like. We ended up finding a picture of her that she really, that she was somebody that had passed through my mom's house at one point. But I still didn't really realize that the veil was dropped.
In a big way.
Yeah. Like I kept telling myself, this has got to be like PTSD from dying or something. Like I didn't know. But then it kept happening. But it was happening not just with spirits. It was the dark stuff. It was stuff that I saw everything. And then I started having memories of things that were confusing me. Like, how could I remember this? And so it was a lot. Obviously, I won't get into all those details right now, but it was a lot. And then I found, my mom actually recommended this book that she had read. I don't remember the name of it now, but it was about this woman who'd had a near-death experience. And then all of a sudden she had all these abilities and all these gifts. And it was like, in her testimony, if I remember correctly, it was like it reconnected her to our creator, to source energy, to the beginning of everything, right? Before the beginning. And she came to understand that relationship. So that book really helped me, but that also sent me on this, what I guess you would call a spiritual journey. Okay, my life is different now. I need to figure this out. And
like, how do you, and then adapting your new veil lifting to like your everyday life and all of that as well.
Yeah, that was hard. And so I know we kind of talked before about sometimes how it was scary.
Yeah, can you tell them about the man in the closet? Because I introduced Wrendi to friends as, she saw this the man in the closet moment.
Man in the closet. Yeah. So that was like, I want to say, let's see. I think that happened probably, I don't know, 5 years later or something. By now that I've moved and I've moved completely out of that city. I went to start a whole new fresh life. Pulled my kids out of school, put them in a better school. Like I just needed a new fresh start, especially with everything that had changed with me. I didn't know how to get a grip on that living in my old life, so I needed to start fresh. So I'm in this house that I bought, and it was just a little mobile home. And I was almost asleep one night. Now I'd been there for probably about a year, so it wasn't like he was already in the house. I'm almost asleep one night, and my closet door creaks open. And so I'm like, sit straight up in bed. What? Like frozen. I'm like, and my first thought was like, okay, maybe the house is shifting, but that, anyway, so I look over at the closet door and there's this man standing in my closet. And I can see him as clearly as I can see you.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of maybe gangster ghetto, whatever, but my very first thought was, my gun's not in the nightstand, it's in the closet. Because, you hear stories about people will wait in your house while you're at work, and they'll hide in the closet and wait for you to fall asleep, and then they come out. So this is my thought, that this guy'd been waiting in the closet the whole time for me to fall asleep. And so my first reaction was go for the gun and scare him and get him out of here, or you just these terrible thoughts were going through my head, but I was just panicked, right?
Yeah.
So all I could do was freeze and just sit there and look at him. And then I'm realizing, wait a minute, he's like not moving. And then I can hear him, but his mouth isn't moving. So then I went, oh, he's not alive. He's not alive. Oh my gosh, he's not alive. So then, of course, I have a whole different set of emotions flowing through me. And I get I'm like nervous even talking about it. I'm like, dude, I hope you found peace. But
Did he eventually go away?
He
because you did talk to him, right? You did talk to him.
Yeah. So here's what happened. He first starts. I don't remember what he was saying, but I'm still so freaked out. I'm like not. I don't know what to do at this point. Like I don't know how to react to this. But then I started getting really sick, physically sick. Like I tried to get off the bed and leave my room. Mm-hmm. I was so sick. I started sweating, shaking. It was the worst feeling. Sweating, shaking. I was nauseated. Like I felt like I was dying. Like it came over me so fast. Like I felt like I was dying, and I was like, then I didn't know, but pretty quickly I put it together that he was doing this to me. So I told him, stop it. Whatever is happening here, why I'm sick, you need to stop it. And I kind of got mad at that point. And that's when it was almost like he knew to pull it. I don't know how it happened, but it was like he pulled it back. And then he just started pleading with me. I need you to find my wife. I'm looking for my wife. I need my wife. Please help me find my wife. And I was like, dude, I don't know. I don't know anything about you. I don't know how to help you. But he just stayed in the closet the whole time. But because now I'm not sick and I can move, I just jumped off the bed and ran out of the room and went and slept on my couch. And it was like, I think it was a Friday night. And I remembered this, there was like this little crystal mystical shop where you can buy oracle cards and crystals and stuff in our town. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I'm going there first thing in the morning, and I'm going to like buy whatever kind of weapons I need to get this guy out, like, sage. I don't know. I'm still learning, right? I don't know. I'm like, maybe there's somebody in the store that can come to my house and get him out. I didn't know what to do. So I go into the store and I tell the people what's going on. This one lady that owns the store, and she tells me, well, the best thing you can do is just guide him into the light. He missed his window to leave. He missed that light, which is his ticket home, basically. And she says, you have everything in you to help him home. And I was like, what? I do? Okay, but now mind you, I'd been sleeping on the couch for 3 days and wouldn't go back in my room.
At least you were on, like, I can't, if there's a spider in my room, I would be out of the house. So I can't imagine there's like this strange man in your room. You're still on the couch. I'm like out until I have physical confirmation that spider
oh my gosh.
out.
I'm pretty sure that my family thought I was completely nuts because I'd like crack my bedroom door open and peek in and I could still see him in the closet. I was like, nope. I think one time I because my dresser wasn't near the closet, one time I cracked the door open, ran and opened the drawer, grabbed some stuff and ran back out. And I was like, what's going on there? So anyway, I got some guidance on that. And there was a reader there that did, she called it prana.
Okay.
She did prana something. I'm not real familiar with that. But anyway, she talked to me and she did a quick reading before I went back to, and she's the one that told me, this is not just your everyday average. He sought you out.
Okay.
And she said he was probably close by when he died. And she said that because he missed his light, he knew to look for the next closest light. And I was that light. And that's why he sought me out. So she really helped me feel better. And then I got back home and I went in the room and there he is in the closet. And I remember keeping the bed was between me and the closet. And I was ready to bolt out the door. I was still kind of scared. But I went in and I says, look, I just did what she taught me to do. And I talked to him gently and I said, I'm sorry this happened to you, but I need you to look for the light. And I didn't see it with my physical eyes, but in my third eye, I could see a light beam come down kind of behind and around him. And then he was just gone. I didn't even see him look at it. He just, as soon as it came down, he was just gone.
And he never came, you never saw him in the closet again?
No, we didn't. But we did find out later that someone had passed in the field behind our house. And we heard that it was an overdose. And as time went on, I learned, being a physical medium, I was taking on the symptoms of a heroin overdose. That was the
feeling of sickness that you felt, and you're like, it was coming from him and you didn't know where it was from. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that was something I had to learn on this journey, how to shield myself from, so it wasn't so overwhelming and scary.
Okay. Yeah. No, I bet it was.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Because, these are very personal experiences, that you're sharing. And I really appreciate you doing that. Your near-death experience and seeing your loved ones, and then the man in the closet, right? These are... these are just
about closets anyway. I won't get into it right now, but it's always the freaking closet. There's a reason they make scary movies about things in the closet.
That's true.
Okay.
That is true. So when would you say was your moment? You called it amnesia when I was talking with you prior. When was that moment that you felt it was lifted? Was it in the near-death experience, but the part where you just started to remember everything, past lives, incarnations on other systems, planetary systems, all of that? Because you said the amnesia was gone.
Yeah. So I didn't understand that was what was happening until it was after the man in the closet. I'm going to say probably around 2017-ish. is when I started having memories of past lives. And then I would get all these I'll give you one example, and I know what it's going to sound like, but I also know that it's very real. So one night, in the middle of the night, I'm called to get out of bed and go to the window and face east.
Okay.
Now there's something in my room. I can't see it, but I can feel it, very loving and gentle and kind, and it literally woke me up, told me go face east, out this window. Okay. And it was weird because I just knew to do it. So I go and I face this window and I'm looking out east. It's nighttime. The glow of the moon is coming through the window because I opened the blinds. And this window, I had a little table with all my plants. All my plants were together. I just believe plants like to be in their own little community. They don't like to be separated from each other. So I put them all together. But I had this one specific plant that this voice was telling me, focus on this plant. Okay. Now take a picture of the plant. Okay. Without flash. Just let the moonlight, as it's hitting the plant, be the light on this plant. Okay. So I'm like following all these instructions. Got pictures of the plant in the middle of the night at moonlight. Okay. Like literally this feels like nuts to me, right? But it also feels like this voice was guiding me. So I listened to this guide. I go back to bed. Don't really think much of it. And then I'm going through my pictures and I see this plant and this guide comes through again. Zoom in, keep zooming in on the photo, right? Zoom into the potting soil. It was like, whoop, I was gone. Like literally something in magnifying the potting soil, the image of it, it pulled me in and I felt like it was going into some galaxy or constellation. Like it was weird. And I can't comprehend with my human brain what's happening right now, but I screenshotted it as it was magnified. So then I'm, maybe a little time goes on, a couple of weeks, whatever it is. And then I'm going on, getting all these other messages and stuff. And I'm just following what this same guide is telling me. Basically, it's giving me breadcrumbs, right? So at the time I was following NASA and like the Hubble telescope stuff, I mean, I just really was just fascinated with like astrology, like don't know that much about it, but I just love that they were getting all these new images. Like this is a really big deal, right? And on like on my news feed, NASA captured this image in the Andromeda galaxy, and this image, I'm telling you, I could probably go back in my pictures because I save everything and find this. I have a OneDrive to keep all these photos. I am telling you, the zoom in to one section of the Andromeda galaxy and that potting soil, it could side by side, it's almost unmistakably the exact same.
Identical. I was thinking that, yeah.
And I just went, what? I didn't even know there was an Andromeda galaxy at the time, right? Like that took me down to, not down, I was going to say a rabbit hole, but it wasn't really that. That was like,
start opening you up to more of who you are.
That's where it started. All of a sudden I went, that's where I'm from. How could I be from there? That's home. And I'm feeling it. Now I'm homesick. I just located where my home was and I'm homesick. And now I'm feeling this grief because I want to go home. And it just spiraled from there. I mean, I was just getting more and more information, and it was confirmation that I couldn't deny. And a lot of my family thought I was nuts. Like I'm going through something. Well, so that was the hardest part because I knew every fiber of my being on a cellular level and my soul and everything knew that this was true. This is true. And I had to investigate. I had to find out more about myself. Nothing else mattered except for discovering where I was from. And that's, I remember when I started the Hopi medicine path telling my teacher, I don't want breadcrumbs anymore. I want the whole loaf. I want to know everything. She goes, oh, Wrendi, be careful what you ask for. Because, you know, when you put that kind of thing out in the universe, it'll give it to you. And I did start getting so much that I was overwhelmed. Now I'm remembering, I can't tell you how many lives here on Earth. And not even as just being a human, but I remember being a tree. I remember being a viper. I remember being in different battles. I remember being a slave. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And I had these physical experiences in these memories as they were coming back. And then I started to remember in places in the galaxy that I had lives. And it wasn't just like a memory, like a movie. I was experiencing the emotions connected to those memories. So
that's intense. That's intense.
Yeah.
Do you remember the moment that you described as when you came to volunteer? And just some pretext around this too is that even with Dolores Cannon and her work, she talked about, you know, she's dealt with all these clients from all over the world, and she talks about the volunteers coming to Earth to help lift it and raise its vibration and all those things. And she's like, they can't possibly be talking to each other when one's in Egypt and Cairo and the other one's in the States, and they're saying the same thing, right? But yeah, so I mean, it's that, and I just wanted to further say, people experience themselves as a rock or a tree or different forms of consciousness. So I just wanted to share that too. But the moment that you remembered when you came to volunteer, if you could describe that for me.
Okay. I'm almost positive that was in 2018. And I want to say I discovered Dolores Cannon about a year ago. Oh my gosh, I couldn't get enough. I was like, her work is amazing. And it really helped me to feel like I found to validate what I knew was my truth. Because all this happened before I ever knew anything about her. So that's awesome. I'm so grateful for her work. So in 2018, sometime in 2018, I really, really connect with water. And like I said, I wanted the whole loaf of bread. So whenever I had the house to myself and it was quiet and I knew, I can dive into meditation, and I'm still learning to do meditation at this time and disconnect from this world to get information clearly without having a lot of static. So in 2018, I'm in the bath. I'm looking for a YouTube meditation, I think. Like, I usually just trust my intuition. What's gonna be good for this one? And I saw this little kid's face in like this, like a starry galactic looking background. And I was sucked right in. I was like, what's this? I don't remember what the title was. So I clicked on it, and I'm pretty sure it was a little kid's voice that was narrating. And in this child's voice, it started talking about that we volunteered to come here to help humanity and help planet Earth and to raise the vibrations of the planet. Now, mind you, at the time, I didn't fully understand vibrations either. This is something I'm still trying to investigate and understand. So this all happened really fast. As soon as I heard that child's voice say that, I couldn't tell you what the rest of I don't know. That was it.
You just left.
That was it. I was gone.
You're in the tub and you were gone somewhere else.
Yep.
So where'd you go?
So forgive me if I get a little emotional here. So I was in this, I'm going to call it a void, because that's just what it felt like. It just was this darkness, just floating in this darkness. There was nothing, no stars, no planets. There was nothing. Just this empty, quiet, peaceful void. It didn't feel bad. It just was nothing. And it was strange because I remember kind of just popping up there alone, and I don't know if I had to like adjust to what was around me, because I know I wasn't alone. I felt like I could feel what was around me, but I just couldn't see it yet. So maybe I was transitioning to be able to cope with what was about to happen. I don't know. It just, maybe that's just how memories work. But anyway, so I'm there, and there's this small council, and I remember exactly, if I had to put it into directions being on Earth, I remember if I could do a direction, I was facing east, and this council came from the east. And there was at least 3 of them that were the spokespersons, and there may have been a few behind, but the main 3 were the ones that did the telepathic communication. And there was quite a few of us there, but we weren't human. Myself, I didn't really see myself, but I was energy. I was like kind of pastel colored energies. And I could see where this council was the only direction that there wasn't other beings coming from. So they came in waves, and like if you were to look out at a distance, and instead of seeing ocean waves, you're seeing waves of beings. Like literally, it was like I can't even describe.
Were they like souls?
No.
Okay.
No, they were beings from all over the universe. Like, there's so many different star races that you can't even, that without numbers. I can identify the ones that I know of that we've given titles to, but there were so many, Pam. They rolled in until there was so many around us in front of this small council that you could look as far as you could see, and that's how many were there. And we were all one. I should mention that I can very specifically, there were 2 mantis, and they're taller than all the rest, and they have like a lot more light than all the rest. So they really stand out, and they're in the group. So we're all kind of gathered. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to back up. As we're gathered waiting for this council to speak, I remember playing, I wasn't a little kid, I don't think, but it felt like I had like this little kid mentality. And I remember I was somewhere playing when all of a sudden this sound comes in, and it was a sound that stopped me. And I would identify it as nowadays, like in our terms, this was a 911 call. This was like the emergency sound system was going off, and you know where to go. You know to answer this call. That's as much as I knew. So I went. So there was got to be, this council has to be some kind of a galactic. I understand it better now, but at the time I didn't. I trusted that there was they were calling some sort of a galactic meeting that was an emergency. So I answered the call. I'm standing in this crowd, or floating in this crowd. And this council starts telepathically speaking to all of us at once. We're just connected through energy. And this is where it gets a little emotional, because they're basically telling us that they called us here. And this is what they said. They said, "We've called you here because your sister I'm going to put this in human terms. Your sister's in trouble. And, they called her Gaia. They said, your sister Gaia is in trouble. Humans have discovered nuclear weapons. And they explained to us, you all know the laws of free will. We can't take free will. We all also knew how fragile Earth was. Like, fragile is probably an understatement compared to some of the other planets. So for me personally, I remember some of the other beings were like, why would we want to go there? Like, why would we want to go there? Just remove the humans or intervene. And the council was, they were like, we can't take free will. Mm-hmm. We can't. The human race deserves a chance to basically liberate themselves. And we will not intervene, not like that. So we just weren't getting convinced. This is how I remember it. We just weren't getting convinced. Like, this, there's got to be another way. So then they started showing us, like, we started seeing like flashes in our thoughts. I'm not going to say minds because we don't have minds, but we're starting to see like these movie flashes in our thoughts. They're showing us the possibilities of what could happen if something if we don't go and help, basically. So they're explaining to us by going into incarnating into a human vessel is a loophole. Because none of us as galactic beings were going to be able to help humanity or planet Earth from where we were at due to free will and that universal law. So this loophole, being a volunteer and coming to join the humans, be human, was the only option that we had, because then we're not we're not taking free will but we're like, we can manipulate the vibrations here. And when I say manipulate, that's a positive manipulation, right? That means we can change.
You're changing the frequency, by incarnating on Earth.
Right. And by spreading. So first of all, we would come here and anchor our light. And then our part of our mission is to spread that light. And but we have to do it in a way where we can only help humans that are ready and willing. We can't go cram it down their throat, right? We knew it was going to be hard. We were told that we wouldn't remember who we were.
Hence amnesia. But a lot of people have amnesia.
Yeah.
It's like one of the laws on Earth is you're going to forget, and then you have to the artist yourself again.
Oh, so but there's also a point, especially this is my personal experience and my truth. So I would want to say to everyone, trust your own truth and trust what is in your heart, because that's where your truth is. Your heart is more of a brain than your actual logical, physical brain in your head is. So if you're having experiences or memories, trust what's in your heart. I know that's what I did. And I wanted to remember everything. I know I don't remember everything. Thank goodness, I think. But I remember enough. And remembering that we were told, you're not going to remember who you are. You're going from this, basically this free energy that can travel at the speed of thought, and you're just pure light and unconditional love. You're going from this into a very, very dense human body on a dense planet. And the density is why we have physical things, right? So we got condensed. And seriously, like
it's like we got condensed.
Yeah, we did. And it's so a lot of star seeds, you know, when they start feeling like they're not from here, they don't fit here, there's good reason in that, but having an understanding of it all really helps. It really helps. I guess I'm kind of babbling now, but it was hard, Pam. It was really hard. It was hard to, I mean, I was honored to come here, but when I remembered where I came from and that I volunteered to come here and what I volunteered to do here, the hardest part to accept of all of this wasn't the truth of what I was remembering. The hardest part of accepting this was, how am I going to tell people my truth? Start with my loved ones, see what their reaction is. My children were probably the most supportive, and my one sister. And then, of course, I found a community of people that knew exactly what I was talking about. But that was the hardest.
Yeah.
To try to convince people that I now know what I'm here for, and I have to do it no matter what it takes, because I found what I found. I've always known I was here for something, but until I got that validation, I just felt like I was wandering through life aimlessly searching. And now I found it. I have to do it. It's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Okay, I'm done.
No, and you're doing it, because, you know, as I call it, the Wrendi experience and Wrendi High, you're definitely going around changing people's lives in a very profound, ineffable way. So thank you for sharing that very personal journey as well. And I know a lot of your bravery in sharing it helps to connect other star seeds to feel like, you know, they're not alone, which is one of the reasons I do these interviews, is to get these authentic, raw, real conversations out there so people can connect, again, to humanity without any superficial feeling of judged and all that other kind of stuff that comes with it.
Yeah.
Just looking at the time now, I'm going to cut this into part 1.
Okay.
Because
it's 1:11, by the way.
Hey, there you go. Sweet.
Oh my gosh, I know. I'm sorry. I didn't. Yeah, sorry if I talk too much or whatever.
No, you're supposed to talk. You're the guest.
No, yeah, going in, answering those questions. That runs deep. There's other stuff that I could probably move through faster, but
no, it's all good.
Yeah.
So to our audience, just stay tuned for next week while I post part 2 on a Friday. But just for now, this is part 1, and we will see you next week, because then we've only begun, and we're going to dive even more deeper into this conversation. So thank you, Wrendi.